everyone, I hope that you're doing well. Today I wanted to come forth and make a video for those who may be suffering with trauma and how you actually can use DIY bodywork to really help with that and to be able to release and clear trauma from your nervous system, because that's primarily where traumas are trapped within your nervous system. And so when you use the DIY bodywork, it can help to really bring forth that trauma, not in a way that's disruptive, but really to help to clear it from the body in a very natural way without you actually having to go through, some type of psychotherapy process, or so. And so I want to be able just to show you just some basic ways and some of what I'm going to be demonstrating for those who've actually been following these videos. You've worked on these areas before. The difference today is that we're going to be more intentional as it relates to releasing trauma from the body. So as I mentioned, that the central nervous system or in the nervous system primarily is where a lot of the trauma is trapped. And so that's the area that you really need to work on in reference to the spine and the brain. Within our cells, there are memories of things that are trapped within there as well. But primarily our central nervous system is what gets impacted the most. And then that's where most people have anxiety, depression, different things, just a lot of nervous scenarios or so that, that take place. And it's really because the body is trying to release that trauma that's very much trapped. And also, I just want to mention that within the description, I have a playlist of my Calm Central Care where I have activations that I do to help people be able to release the trauma in a very new anatomy type of way. So you can avail yourself to those activations. They're more like in meditation format, and those will help tremendously. So I want to get started. As always, I like to get hydrated, so I'm going to get a few sips of water. I've been drinking, but anytime I'm going to be doing, some work on myself, I always like to get hydration. And also, as you all know, make sure that you get hydrated after as well. Okay. So I'm going to, actually before I start moisturizing, I'm going to invite you to do some deep breathing with me, and also we're going to calm the nervous system before we start working on it. Okay, so most of you know that the breath work is one of my more extensive works, and so I'm very fond, obviously, of doing the breath work even as we are doing the DIY body work. So let's take about 3 nice deep breaths, please. Okay. So I want you to take your right hand and place it on the top of your head, flat on the top of your head. And I want you to take your left hand and put it in the middle of your sternum, or it's considered in the middle of the breastbone. And so we're going to take 3 nice deep breaths as we press in there. Okay, so that's just bringing some calm to the nervous system as we're going to begin preparing to start working in that area. And so, at this time, I don't necessarily want you to think about any of the trauma that you've been experiencing. This is more so of just a gentle way of it coming up. So even those of you maybe who aren't even experiencing nervous system occurrences during this time, or anxiety, so to speak, but if you want to work along, it's going to be beneficial for you for sure. And also just know that there could be some trapped trauma that is being released. Now, this shouldn't be disruptive. Some of you could possibly feel a little bit emotional just because you know that it's kind of happening and occurring. But if something should come up as you're working on this, then there's going to be ways that you can soothe yourself during the process. And I allow myself to be guided to have prompts to mention that if I should get a sense that someone is maybe experiencing some emotion, around this. So I've got a few lotions here and my ginger oil, so I'm kind of being present what I'm going to use. So being guided to use the ginger essential oil, so that's what I'm going to be using, at least to start off. And we're actually going to work both the hands and the feet for reflexology. But we're going to start with the right side first. So moisturizing my hands here. Okay. So we're going to work on the spine and the brain. And so we're actually going to start right in here and work our way all the way up the side. And then we'll start working in the brain area. So as I mentioned, that a lot of trauma is trapped, in the body in various areas, but primarily the nervous system is what is tremendously impacted, by that. And so when you are releasing trauma, it typically does have to come through the nervous system in order for it to be cleared, and released. So let's just start out. What I'll do is I will demonstrate for you first, and then you can come back and we can do this together, right? And I just also want to take kind of just a moment of silence, in a sense, for those who maybe are going through something, during this time, or there are things from your childhood or just things that have occurred in your life and you just feel like you've really been traumatized, by that. I just want to hold space for a moment before we start working, so that you can know and feel that you are supported here. This is a sacred space, for you to be able to just be present and allow whatever comes up, to come up. It's okay to cry. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to be an emotional roller coaster during this time, if you need to be. But just know that you are taking care of yourself in this way, and you're doing something tremendous by actually allowing the traumas to come up and be released, during this time. So I'm just going to just hold space for a few moments. Okay, everyone take a deep breath, please. Okay. So let me demonstrate first, and then you join in with me. So I'm going to start right here and just start kind of worm walking up the side. This is the spine reflex on the hand. Okay. Then I'm going to go back down. You can make circles or so, or just kind of just walk down. Okay. And I felt guided to really go the long way, because sometimes when I work the spine, I don't necessarily start in here, start up here and go down. But today I feel guided to really do the long stretch of it. So, okay, so you can join in with me. And I'm putting a little bit of pressure. You don't have to really put a lot of pressure here. I'm doing it. I'm empathic, so I work my nervous system, work on my nervous system quite often. And so I typically apply a little bit more pressure than normal. And you can definitely set a powerful intention while you're doing this to know that you are releasing traumas during this time, and you're working on this area for your total well-being. And your total well-being involves your nervous system really being in alignment, as it is the central, is the communication, primary communication, for your body. going to go back up again. I normally recommend doing this 3 times. We'll go back down. I am a little bit, I shouldn't say biased, but I kind of am. I really like working on the nervous system more so on the foot than on the hand. But it's good to actually be able to know how to do both, because there's going to be times where you can't necessarily work on your feet, right? So you need to know how to do certain hand reflexology, as well. So I'm going to come here to start working on the brain. We find that right here on the pad, on the tips here. And then we find the pituitary gland just a little bit underneath there. So you can make some circles. Sometimes I do the walking down, and then get in the hook and just hold and breathe. Yeah, so just take some time here. I normally recommend 60 seconds on an area. Okay. So we're actually going to work on the feet now. I just really want to do that demonstration because sometimes, like, if you are having some challenges and you can't necessarily work on your feet, like I said, it's good to be able to know how to do it on your hands, as well. But typically I find that more of the results come at a more rapid pace, and the healing seems to happen more accelerated and at a deeper level when you actually are working, on the feet. So we're gonna do that now. I'm demonstrating with my right foot here. So I'm gonna actually gonna get some hydration lotion here and work on the feet here. Kind of pumped out more than I was expecting. I guess I can put a little bit down there too. Okay. Alright. So get my foot in position where you can see here. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to demonstrate first, and then you can join in with me. So I'm going to do kind of the worm walk here. And then I'm going to go all the way back down. Okay, so I just want to do a quick demonstration. Now we can work on this together. So I want you to take a nice deep breath, please. All right. So let's just be present, because I know this can be kind of a very sensitive topic. But again, I want you to know that you are totally supported and you are taking care of yourself. Working on this area is one of the most important things that you can do, especially during this time. And again, if you have been experiencing depression, anxiety, or just things, with your nerves, this is going to be the absolute best thing that you can do, for yourself. And you'll feel so much better the more you do it, for sure. So, okay. So I'm going to start down here. And actually, I'm going to have you to just press in on these areas just with your thumbs here. Right? Just down here. And now we're going to start walking up. Instead of doing the worm walk, I'm just feeling that we should do more of the dot-to-dot type of pressing, at least going up initially here. It's like pressing in here. And it's not something I typically do, so I'm allowing myself to be, guided to this right inspired action here. so used to really just doing the worm walking in circles and everything, but I felt guided to be able to press in and activate in that way. And it could just be because we are being intentional about the trauma care, at this point. So we're going to go back up the spine, and this time we actually are going to just do kind of some circular motions as we're going up here. And also I have a two-part video series, and it's really about the emotional and mental well-beingness and doing DIY body work to support that. So I'll make sure that I include those videos for you in the description. Right? Just continuing to go down here. All right, now we're going to work on the brain, and then right in here is the pineal gland, and then here's the pituitary gland as well. So we want to work just in this area. You can make some circles here. And actually the guidance is actually to work this entire toe. And some of you right in this area may feel some tenderness, and I actually have a video about that as well. But if you are feeling some tenderness, then I'm going to invite you just to work around, the area for the time being. Normally I do encourage people to press in and take a few deep breaths, but because we're working really in terms of trauma at this point, I'm just going to request that you just work around the area. So as we're working the brain and stimulating it for higher functionality as it relates to the traumatic things, that take place, if there is something coming to mind right now, I want you to focus on the treasure, the gift of the trauma. And for some, you could think, what gift can there be with trauma, There are always reasons why things occur or have occurred, and it doesn't mean that they've been pleasant or it's been fair that they have happened. But the simple fact that you are still here, there's a purpose. There's a reason. And there could be that there's a gift within the scenario, especially now that you're working on yourself. Say, I went through these things and these things have happened, but I am still here, and this is an opportunity for me to be releasing some of this trapped trauma within my system. And so there has to be a gift here. There has to be a reason, for this. And some of you will discover that you have a higher calling, to fulfill. And there's so much more to life. And this is the opportunity to know that you don't have to allow trauma to trap you, so to speak. You can choose a new trajectory and a new way of thinking around that, and understand that there are treasures. Often there are messes in the messages, or messages in the mess, I should say. And within the trauma, there are treasures. And so, as we are working in these areas, we're really on a treasure hunt, in a sense. We are releasing trapped trauma, but the trapped trauma is bringing up the treasure. So I want you to think about that. So let's work a little bit more here, in this area. Right? And then work around the toe as best you can. You can repeat this process on the other foot as well. So I'm feeling guided to actually do another spinal walk here. So let's go back up the spine here and just continue to be intentional about releasing and clearing, but at the same time focusing on the treasure. What is the gift here? What is the treasure versus the trauma? So one positive thing that you definitely can focus on is the fact that you are taking care of yourself right now. That's a gift. You know, the treasure in the sense of learning how to do DIY body work to support your higher well-being, and at the same time be able to clear and release things from the past or even present things that have taken place. Okay. So before we actually close down, let's do just a little bit of foot rubbing. I'm going to get a little bit more lotion here and to really rub this area. It's like massaging the spine is what's coming to me. So that's more what's going to be happening versus a foot rub. It's going to be more of massaging the spine, working the brain a little bit more. And definitely let me know in the comments if this has been beneficial to you, or if you worked along, with me, or if you are releasing and clearing, some things during this time, or you've been looking at ways to clear your trauma and find that this is a more gentler way, simpler way to do it. Okay, so let's just work this area for a moment. I invite you to take some deep breaths as you're doing this. Okay, let's work this brain area a little bit more. Get you to press in at the top here. Take a deep breath, please. All right. So I'm going to get you to work the neck reflex too. That's what I'm working right in here. So just work this area. All right, so let's massage the spine again. See if you can see what I'm doing here. And I am putting a little pressure here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to close this down. And just remember that you can do this on both, on both sides. And I'm recommending that you do it on both sides, especially, as it relates to being able to help to clear more of the trauma out of your system. And, taking the time out to do this is so important. There are many ways that we can support ourselves far beyond what we've been taught. And so again, instead of having to go and see a counselor and work out, these different areas, and I'm not knocking this, okay, because I'm a counselor as well, and so I do counseling and everything, and I'm trained and certified in those areas as well. But what I know to be true is that when you can actually do the DIY body work or the inner work, whether it's through intentional journaling, or so, those things are going to be extremely beneficial to you, rather than doing something traditional and taking meds and different things. There are herbs that you can take, supplements that are natural and that are going to support you. But the best way is to support yourself with the power of your touch that can help to stimulate your total well-being. So obviously I'm a high advocate, for this, and just encouraging you. I'm not trying to persuade you either way, but I do feel that it is my duty, if you will, to just share with you different ways that you can take your well-beingness to the next level and to deal with the things that have really weighed you down in life. And just know you have options. You don't have to be on medicine. You don't have to feel like you need to go check into, a ward or so, or feel like, you're part of the loony barn or whatever, whatnot, or feel shamed because of things that have happened. Simple practices like this DIY body work will help you tremendously and really help you really to start your life anew. So I just wanted to be able to come forth and just to provide, this type of support for those who certainly need it during this time, but also for some maybe who have pushed off some things and, pushed them aside. And this is the time where actually you can release some things that are trapped. And maybe you didn't even realize you had things that were trapped, and some things maybe came up during this time. But at least you know how you can support yourself in a much more holistic way, by doing this. So, as always, I love to feature my publication, I Touch Myself, and I Like It, DIY self-massage, and Acupressure, Reflexology, and Wealth-flex-ology journal recorder. And there'll be a link to how you can secure a copy of this in the description. And also the videos that I mentioned to you, they'll be there below. Again, I'm always wishing you the best, and just know that this is your time to take your life to new levels and being able to up-level your well-beingness and support yourself in this way with the power of your own touch. So I look forward to bringing you more videos soon.